All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Lok Sabha to resume discussion on motion of thanks to President's address today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India cannot depend upon other countries for its defence requirements. Andaman and Nicobar Islands becomes first union territory to be corona-free. CBSE announces date sheet for class 10th and 12th board exams. Asia's biggest aero show begins today at Bengaluru in Karnataka. And ICC nominates Rishabh Pant and two others for Men's Player of the Month award. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha will today take up discussion on motion of thanks on the President's address. The Houses is also likely to discuss on the ongoing farmers' protest with the motion of thanks. Both the Houses of Parliament were adjourned yesterday without transacting substantial business as the opposition members created an uproar demanding discussion on the issue of farmers' protest over the 3 new farm laws. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar yesterday informed the Lok Sabha that the government is willing to discuss the 3 farm reform laws both inside and outside Parliament. The Union Government has said that there is no proposal to give any compensation to the families of farmers who have died during the ongoing agitation against 3 farm laws. This was stated by Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar in a written reply in Lok Sabha. On a question whether the government has any plans to repeal the laws, the minister said the implementation of the recent farm laws has been stayed by the Supreme Court. He also said 11 rounds of talks have been held between the government and farmers to resolve the issue.
सरकार सदन के भीतर भी और सदन के बाहर भी हमेशा चर्चा के लिए तैयार रही है। प्रश्न काल में बड़ी संख्या में प्रश्न कृषि और कृषि कल्याण से संबंधित थे। कोविड के संकट में अथक परिश्रम करके संसद का आयोजन किया जा रहा है। इसमें निश्चित रूप से सरकार का, गांव का, गरीब का, किसान का तमाम सारा कामकाज होना है।
The government has provided training to more than 10,000 farmers in the last 1 year about the latest machinery and technology to improve the quality of their crops. This has led to an increase in production and income of the farmers by adopting latest technologies for cultivation. Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said this in a written reply in Lok Sabha. The minister said a centrally sponsored scheme, Support to State Extension Programs for Extension Reforms, popularly known as Atma scheme, is under implementation since 2005. Presently, the scheme is being implemented in 691 districts of 28 states and 5 union territories in the country. The scheme promotes decentralized farmer-friendly extension system in the country. The government said that there has been a consistent decline in left-wing extremism and its geographical spread across the country. In a written reply in Lok Sabha, the Minister of State for Home, G. Kishan Reddy, said that incidents of LWE violence have reduced by 70% from an all-time high of 2,258 in 2009 to 665 in 2020. He said the resultant deaths of civilians and security forces have reduced by 80% from an all-time high of 1,005 in 2010 to 183 in 2020. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has stressed on producing defence equipment under the Atmanirbhar Bharat program, saying that India cannot remain dependent on other countries for its defence. He was speaking after inaugurating Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's HAL's second light combat aircraft production line in its Bengaluru facility.
जो भी बनाना होगा डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट्स, प्लेटफॉर्म, वेपन, कोशिश हमारी यह है कि हम खुद बनाएंगे और सीमा की और अपने स्वाभिमान की दोनों की सुरक्षा भी करेंगे। एक लाभ और हुआ है, आज के इस उद्घाटन से आत्मनिर्भर भारत का हमारा यह संकल्प भी पूरा हुआ है और दोनों टेक्नोलॉजिकल और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में हम आत्मनिर्भर बनना चाहते हैं। यह संदेश केवल भारत की सीमा तक ही नहीं रहेगा बल्कि दुनिया के दूसरे देशों तक यह संदेश चला जाएगा कि भारत को आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने में में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बहुत ही गंभीर है। यह संदेश सारी दुनिया को जाएगा।
The Defence Minister said the Cabinet Committee on Security, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 13th January 2021, approved the 48,000 crore rupees deal to procure 73 Tejas Make-1A variants and 10 SA Tejas Make-1 trainer aircraft from HAL.
जल्दी से जल्दी और भी नए ऑर्डर्स EHAL को मिलें, ये हम लोगों की कोशिश होगी। कोविड की इतनी महामारी के बावजूद 48,000 करोड़ का ऑर्डर आर्म्ड फोर्सेस की तरफ से आपको ये मिल गया है और मैं कह सकता हूं कि इंडिजिनस डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट के इतिहास में यह सबसे बड़ा प्रोक्योरमेंट है। यदि मैं इसे कहूं कि यह हिस्टोरिकल डील है तो यह कहना भी एग्जेगरेशन नहीं होगा। हिस्टोरिकल डील है जो इंडियन एरो स्पेस सेक्टर को एक नई हाइट देगी, यह भी हमारा विश्वास है।
Asia's biggest aero show will kickstart at Bangalore in Karnataka today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will inaugurate the 3-day mega event that is taking place for the first time in a hybrid mode due to COVID pandemic. More from a Bangalore correspondent.
The 13th edition of Aero India Show will see participants in both physical and virtual mode. Purely dedicated for showcasing India's prowess in defense production, the event will showcasing indigenous platforms in defense sector. Over 200 MOUs will be signed between different procurement and manufacturing agencies. For the first time, defense ministers of Indian Ocean region from 27 countries will participate in person or through virtual mode in a conclave organized on the sidelines to discuss shared threats and cooperation in disaster management. The Joint Secretary in the Department of Defence Production, Anurag Bajpai, told media persons in Bengaluru on the Aero India participation.
In Aero India 19, only 403 exhibitors were there total. But even if the pandemic was there, we have 600 exhibitors. Then Indian exhibitors, if we see, against 238, it is 522. So the number has increased.
COVID protocol is followed with participants producing RT-PCR negative report made mandatory. The public entry is restricted with only 15,000 persons per day in the exhibition area and 3,000 for the flying display. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
The national COVID-19 recovery rate has touched 97.05% as 13,423 people were discharged in the last 24 hours. In the same period, 8,655 new COVID-19 cases have also been reported. With this, total cases have reached 1,7,66,245. The Health Ministry said as of now, 1,4,48,406 people have been discharged. In the last 24 hours, 94 deaths were reported and the death toll has reached 1,54,486. Active cases now stand at 1,63,353.
Andaman and Nicobar Islands have become the first among all states or union territories in the country to become COVID-19 free, with active cases falling to zero in the islands. The Health Ministry's website reported that the last 4 infected persons in Andaman and Nicobar Islands have been declared cured. The Union Territory had reported a total of 4,932 cases and 62 deaths from the virus. More from our correspondent.
The Andaman and Nicobar Islands have achieved zero active cases of COVID-19 yet again for the third time. This is an outcome of the strict vigilance and monitoring of COVID-19 virus by the administration. The negative RT-PCR test report became mandatory for all the incoming passengers from the mainland since 26 December. Prior to this, the rapid antigen test was being conducted at the Port Blair airport for months. Testing for inter-island movement is also going on either by ship or by helicopter. The COVID-19 vaccination drive is also being conducted at 8 centers across all the 3 districts in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The vaccination drive will further be extended with time. Gaurav Patwal, AIR News, Port Blair.
Meanwhile, the share of Kerala in India's daily cases crossed 50% for the first time yesterday. There were 11,024 fresh cases in the country, out of which Kerala alone reported 5,716, that is 51.8% of the total. The state also has the highest count of active cases at 69,157 out of around 1,61,000 in the country. Maharashtra also continued to report the highest number of deaths, adding 30 to the toll yesterday. The state recorded 1,927 new cases, the lowest in 8 days. For the second day in a row, Mumbai reported less than 400 cases. Active cases in the state dropped to 41,586, of which 5,530 cases were in Mumbai. A total of 114 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infections were reported in Delhi in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 6,35,000. The Delhi government said that over 6,23,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 160 people recovered and 2 deaths were reported in the city, taking the toll to 10,858. Presently, the total number of active cases in the national capital is 1,217.
In Bihar, 2,21,523 people have been vaccinated in the state so far. 37,139 health workers were vaccinated for COVID-19 during the past 24 hours. No side effect has been reported from any part of the state. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said the target for completion of the first phase of vaccination is February 10th. Meanwhile, COVID-19 recovery rate is improved to 99% in Bihar. 2,58,309 patients have so far recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state. The number of active cases of COVID-19 is continuously declining. Currently, 1,095 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. In all, 173 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours, while 118 new COVID-19 cases have been reported. No positive case was reported from 11 districts from the state. Over 2,11,00,000 corona tests have been conducted in the state so far. In Gujarat, 40,550 frontline corona warriors were vaccinated against the COVID-19 yesterday. According to the State Health Department, total 3,92,454 people have received vaccines against COVID-19 in the state till now. More from an Ahmedabad correspondent.
Vaccination drive against the COVID-19 has been carried out at 684 vaccination centers yesterday. Not a single instance of serious side effect was recorded till now. Meanwhile, 2,54,531 patients have been recovered in the state from COVID-19 till now. The recovery rate has reached up to 97.10%. Maximum 86 new cases reported from Vadodara, while Ahmedabad recorded 61 new cases. Number of active cases in the state reduced to 3,203. Out of these, 29 patients are on ventilators. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Orissa, the vaccination of COVID-19 frontline workers will commence from the 6th of this month. The State Health Department has directed all district administration and municipal commissioners to make necessary arrangements in this regard. More from our Orissa correspondent.
The vaccination of COVID-19 frontline workers are being planned to be conducted simultaneously with the inoculation of the healthcare workers that is already approved since the 16th of January last. A total of about 1.92 lakh frontline workers have been databased for the purpose. Meanwhile, the state has been able to evade any COVID-19 death during the last week, with its case fatality rate being 0.56%, one of the lowest in the country. In addition, while all the 30 districts of the state are now in green zone, the active caseload too has plunged down below 1,000 as of now. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
The countrywide COVID-19 vaccination program was conducted successfully on the 18th day yesterday. The Ministry of Health in a statement said that 1,70,585 beneficiaries were vaccinated through 3,785 sessions. It said the cumulative number of healthcare workers vaccinated against COVID-19 has now crossed 41 lakhs, and so far a total of 41,20,741 beneficiaries were vaccinated through 76,516 sessions. It said 2 states, Gujarat and West Bengal, initiated vaccination of frontline workers, and 19,902 frontline workers have been vaccinated. On National Polio Immunization Drive, the ministry said that the countrywide drive was conducted successfully on the 3rd day yesterday, and a total of 11.04 crore children under 5 years across the country have been given polio drops so far.
Talking to AIR News, Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, President, Public Health Foundation of India, has said that the budget allocation of 35,000 crore rupees will ensure that people will receive the vaccine without any difficulty.
The Finance Minister has allocated 35,000 crores to ensure that the prioritized groups who are now earmarked for receiving the vaccine early will receive the vaccine without difficulty. These are people who are providing essential services, whether they are health services, security services, municipal services, or transport services. Over and above that, people who are vulnerable to severe disease because of advanced age or associated health conditions which increase the risk of severe disease are also going to be prioritized for early vaccination.
Centre has decided to depute two high-level multidisciplinary teams to Kerala and Maharashtra for supporting the states in public health interventions for COVID-19 management. Union Health Ministry said currently these two states alone are contributing to almost 70% active COVID-19 cases in the country. At a time when almost all states and union territories are showing a declining trend in the number of cases and deaths due to COVID-19, Kerala and Maharashtra continue to report a large number of cases. Central team to Maharashtra comprises experts drawn from the National Centre for Disease Control and RML Hospital, New Delhi. The Kerala team comprises senior officials from the Ministry of Health along with experts from regional offices of Health and Family Welfare, Thiruvananthapuram and Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Lok Sabha to resume discussion on motion of thanks to President's address today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India cannot depend upon other countries for its defence requirements. Andaman and Nicobar Islands becomes the first union territory to be corona-free. CBSE announces date sheet for Class 10th and 12th board exams. Asia's biggest aero show begins today at Bengaluru in Karnataka. And ICC nominates Rishabh Pant and two others for Men's Player of the Month award. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alert.
Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has announced the schedule of the CBSE board examinations for Class 10th and 12th. As per the date sheet released, the CBSE Class 10th board examination will commence on the 4th of May with language subjects, and the exam for main subjects will start from 6th of May with English paper. The final paper, computer applications, will be held on the 7th of June. The examination will begin at 10:30 a.m. As per the date sheet, the examination for Class 12 will also commence on the 4th of May with subject English elective and English core. The final paper for other subject will be held on 11th of June. Class 12 examination will be conducted in two shifts. The first shift will be held from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., while the second shift will begin from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Announcing the date sheet, the Education Minister said that a time gap has been given between the important subjects so that the students could prepare for the examination without any stress.
इसमें बहुत कोशिश की गई है कि आपकी विषयों के बीच जो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण विषय हैं उनके बीच समय को थोड़ा सा अंतर हो ताकि आपको तैयारी करने के लिए अच्छा मौका मिल सके और आप तनाव मुक्त रहें। हम हमेशा कोशिश करते रहे हैं कि हम आपके साथ जुड़े रहें और आपको कहीं तनाव न हो, मानसिक दबाव न हो, आप मस्ती के साथ अपनी तैयारियों को करें।
More from a correspondent.
The date sheet has been released nearly 3 months before the start of the examination of Class 10th and 12th so that students can make their study plan and overcome the problems faced by them during the pandemic. Sufficient time has been given between the examinations of two main subjects in both the classes, which will help the students for better preparation of subjects. For Class 10th, examinations of 75 subjects will be conducted, while in Class 12th, examinations of 111 subjects will be held. This year, fewer days are taken to conduct the examinations than last year. This year, examination schedule is of 39 days, which is 6 days less than the last year examination. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
In Uttar Pradesh, preparations are on in full swing to celebrate the centenary year of the historic Chauri Chaura incident. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the year-long centenary celebrations tomorrow via video conferencing. Mr. Modi will also release a postal stamp dedicated to the Chauri Chaura incident. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will also be present on the occasion. More from a Gorakhpur correspondent.
Statewide celebrations will begin from tomorrow. Special programs will be held on martyriums at each district in the state. School students, NSS and NCC cadets, scouts and guides will take part in morning march pasts in districts, holding banners and posters showcasing the valor and courage of our great freedom fighters. Police bands will play national tunes at martyriums, educational institutions and other places. Students, artists and people will participate in collective recitation of Vande Mataram at 10 a.m. time tomorrow. A special cleanliness drive will also be held throughout the state today. Aditya Shukla, AIR News, Gorakhpur.
Taking a cue from the recent e-budget presentation by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the Uttar Pradesh government is making preparations to table a paperless budget of the state in the third week of this month. Uttar Pradesh will become the first state to do so after the union government. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has also ordered the implementation of the e-cabinet system. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Taking a big step towards Digital India, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that the next meeting of the State Cabinet will take place virtually through the e-Cabinet system. Tablets will be provided to all the members before the budget session, which is going to start from 18th of this month. He ordered that a training session will be organized for all ministers to take forward the mission of paperless governance. The officials and ministers participating in the training session will have to attend with their laptops and tablets. As part of the e-Cabinet training session, all the participants will be given basic training pertaining to digital working. The decision of presenting a paperless budget was also taken in the meeting on governance held under CM Yogi Adityanath's supervision on the subject of minimum government, maximum governance. Uttar Pradesh will become the first state to do so after the central government. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The union government has allocated 104.5 crore rupees in the union budget for new central sector industrial development scheme for the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir for 2021-22. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that the budget has been proposed for the scheme aimed to bring about transformation in the existing industrial ecosystem of J&K with emphasis on job creation, skill development and sustainable development. The scheme is attractive for both smaller and larger units, and it attempts for a more sustained and balanced industrial growth in the entire union territory.
Government has said that Jal Jeevan Mission Urban has been designed to provide universal coverage of water supply to all households through functional taps in all 4,378 statutory towns. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had announced this mission during her budget speech. Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry said that the estimated gap in urban household tap connections is around 2 crore 68 lakh, which is proposed to be covered under Jal Jeevan Mission Urban. The mission will promote circular economy of water through development of city water balance plan for each city, focusing on recycle and reuse of treated sewage, rejuvenation of water bodies and water conservation. Government has procured more than 600 lakh tons of paddy in the current Kharif marketing season. Agriculture Ministry said this is an increase of 17.89% against the last year corresponding purchase of around 512 lakh tons. Out of the total purchase, Punjab alone has contributed over 202 lakh tons, which is 33.57% of the total procurement. The ministry said the procurement of paddy is continuing smoothly in the various procuring states and union territories. It said more than 88 lakh farmers have already been benefited from the ongoing procurement. Operations with MSP value of over 1,14,000 crore rupees.
The Maharashtra government has decided to provide financial assistance to startups for registration of intellectual property rights and quality testing certificate. It will help in employment generation and promote Atmanirbhar Bharat. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Maharashtra government is launching lot of initiatives to promote entrepreneurship. Last week, Mumbai's Ascendated Women University was declared as a special incubation center for women entrepreneurs. Maharashtra has secured second spot in Innovation Index recently released by Niti Aayog. Yesterday, Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray launched a special assistance scheme for startup, under which government will reimburse up to 80% amount of patent registration and product testing and certification cost. Under this scheme, reimbursement of up to rupees 10 lakh will be given for filing international intellectual property rights application. Quality testing certificate cost of up to rupees 2 lakh will also be reimbursed. Maharashtra State Innovation Society is a nodal agency for this scheme. In the first stage, approximately 125 to 150 startups are expected to be benefited from this scheme. Jeevan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy to Myanmar, Christine S. Bourillon, has condemned the military coup in the Southeast Asian country. The UN Security Council held close consultations on Myanmar yesterday. In her briefing to Council members, the Secretary General Special Envoy described the recent steps taken by the military as shocking. She also urged council members to collectively send a clear signal in support of an elected government in Myanmar. Meanwhile, U.S. State Department has said that the Biden administration is in constant touch with like-minded allies in the region, including India and Japan. U.S. has threatened to reinstate sanctions and review of U.S. assistance to Myanmar after the military coup. Myanmar's military launched the coup on Monday morning and detained State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint and other National League for Democracy NLD leaders. The military has announced a one-year state of emergency and vowed to take action against alleged voter fraud during the November 8 general election. Suu Kyi's NLD party won the election.
India's wicketkeeper batsman Rishabh Pant has been nominated for the ICC Men's Player of the Month award along with England's keeper Joe Root and Ireland's Paul Stirling. The International Cricket Council announced the nominees for the inaugural Player of the Month awards, which will recognize and celebrate the best performances from both male and female cricketers across all forms of international cricket throughout the year. The 23-year-old Pant played 2 tests against Australia, where he scored a 97 at Sydney to ensure a draw before an unbeaten 89 at Brisbane that led India to a historic series-clinching win. In January, Root played 2 tests against Sri Lanka, where he scored a 228 and 186 and led his team to a 2-0 test series victory. The third nominee in the category, Stirling, played 2 ODIs against the UAE and 3 ODIs versus Afghanistan, where he scored 3 centuries. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. In Srinagar, there will be partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. The temperature will hover between -2 and 3 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was around 8 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 15 degrees. Thunderstorm with rain. Leh will have generally cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was -12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 2 degrees. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between -6 and 12 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the temperature will hover between 3 and 15 degrees Celsius. The city will witness rain or snow. Dehradun will witness mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 6 degrees Celsius, whereas the maximum will be around 21 degrees. Chandigarh will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature is likely to hover between 6 and 24 degrees Celsius. National capital Delhi experienced shallow fog in the morning. The temperatures will hover between 9 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was around 13 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 29 degrees. The city witnessed fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky later. Ahmedabad will have clear skies. The minimum temperature was around 12 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. India's daily coronavirus cases falling below 9,000 after 8 months is one of the stories that finds prominent mention in the dailies this morning. India's caseload lowest in 8 months, writes the Statesman, adding, the country has reported less than 100 daily deaths. Sputnik V vaccine shows 91.6% efficacy, reports The Hindu. The paper writes that interim results from Phase 3 trial indicate Russia's candidate could join the fight against the virus. The Tribune, quoting US, says, monitoring LAC standoff, Peaching playing bully. NIA to probe blast near Israel embassy, informs The Pioneer. Calls for release of Suu Kyi, Myanmar lawmakers grow, reports The Times of India. CBSE Class 10-12 exam set to begin on May 4 and end June 7 and 11, informs The Asian Age. And finally, The Economic Times reports that according to the latest Sero survey, 56.13% Delhi residents have antibodies.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Lok Sabha to resume discussion on motion of thanks to President's address today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India cannot depend upon other countries for its defence requirements. Andaman and Nicobar Islands becomes first union territory to be corona-free. CBSE announces date sheet for Class 10th and 12th board exams. Asia's biggest aero show begins today at Bangalore in Karnataka. And ICC nominates Rishabh Pant and 2 others for Men's Player of the Month award. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.